Well. This is certainly the most, I think, loaded Zoom podcast that we've ever had here. We got a full crew, and Jesse's alive. For
I was able to escape JP.
Yeah,
I had to sign an NDA. I can't say everything. I can't say what
I,
happened, but
I don't know how he got out of wherever I was keeping him. But he just appeared on the meeting today, and it kind of surprised me a little. I didn't know he
the
snuck out.
lawsuit's still going on, so we can't really talk about it in public. But
NDAs have been signed.
the invite I sent was more of a Hail Mary. I didn't think he was actually going to click on it.
Yeah, I didn't either. I don't know how he's got internet.
shouldn't have left the house this morning. That's all I'll say.
I'll tell you what, there's just it's too many people in here. You know what? There's just, I don't know if
What
I'm
are
going
you
to be
trying
able
to
to get all my
say?
horrible takes out, man.
I was gonna say,
I gotta have airtime to
Everybody's
air
got
my grievances.
They got to fight for the word count now. Not me though. I'll get my words in.
Joan always gets his yapping.
But
I'll make sure to interrupt JP as much as possible.
But that is correct. We have a full house, and welcome back to yet another episode of the Sabre Roundtable. My name is Jonah,
I'm Christian.
I'm JP.
And I'm Jesse.
and as always, we'll be talking to you about all things Buffalo Sabres hockey and a little bit of the wider NHL. So, despite being on a 3-game win streak, that's not really the talk of the town. I would say there's sort of a few things going on here that have transpired over the past few days. We're gonna get into it. We'll touch on these 3 wins, but a majority of the conversation is inevitably gonna center around the Tage Thompson situation that took place towards the end of that New Jersey Devils game. Given what last episode centered around, we will be discussing a little bit of Elias Pettersson and where that currently stands for the Buffalo Sabres. He is not a Buffalo Sabre, but I do think it's worth talking about as we move into the future. And then finally, despite that trade not going down, there were a multitude of trades that went down across the NHL, and we'll be sure to touch on those alongside some other NHL news. So this should be a fun one.
It's going to be a good one. I can't believe we're going to be able to talk about Ryan Miller, Milan Lucic, part 2.
We'll quickly recap these 3 Sabres games, which have gone very well. If we start with the Boston game, we had something happen that had not happened in a Sabres game in, I forget which. Now I'm blanking. Which year was it? The last time there were 2 Sabres hat tricks in the exact same game.
It was the
Wasn't
Atlanta 10-1 game.
Was
It
that
was
2010?
2008.
I was gonna say
2008. 08. Yeah. 2008. It was Drew Stafford and was it
Jason
Roy?
Pominville?
Was it
Derek Roy?
Pominville? Was it Pominville?
Pominville had one in the 2006 Kings win when they beat them 10-1.
Well, and he also did it during game 2 against Philly, which I thought that was the last time it had
Mhm.
happened in a Sabres game when him and Dumont both scored hat tricks in that blowout. But yeah, it's been 17 years the last time the Sabres had 2 guys in the same game score hat tricks, and in this one it was Tage Thompson and JJ Peterka who were just on another level that night as the Sabres gave the Bruins a 7-2 thrashing, which was their first win against Boston since the COVID season, the bubble season, 2021.
Is that the first home
First home win.
victory?
First home win.
First home win.
First win at KeyBank Center. Since 2021. I think that was Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen's debut.
That dog shit team beat the Bruins that year. That's kind of crazy to think about.
Do you remember that specific game where Luukkonen debuted?
It depends. I don't even know how far into the season it would have been, but I did.
It was towards the end. Like Granato was head coach by then.
Man.
Christian probably already hated UPL, so
Yeah.
I'm surprised he doesn't
Well, it's funny.
remember
I was going to bring it up. That game, one of the 2 things I was going to bring up, he let in the first shot on goal of his NHL career. It was a goal.
That's when it started for Christian.
The hate
Yeah.
watch was on immediately.
The other thing I remember, Ristolainen scored 2 goals against Luukkonen. One deflected off of him, and the other one he tried to block a pass, and it went directly into the net.
That sounds about right.
Whatever happened to that guy?
He's topping trade boards these days.
He might be coming back, Jesse.
I was
ready,
gonna say,
man.
I saw some.
Don't get me excited.
I saw some people bringing his name up after the end of the New Jersey game.
Imagine him and Yoki Haru back together, just playing as a
Oh
deep
my
hitter.
God.
And two right-handed defensemen playing on the same pairing.
I don't think an NHL. I don't think the universe could handle that. I think it would just implode.
It would be so bad, it would be good.
And you
in
give
a
them
weird
top
way.
line minutes.
Then we get on to the most feel-good game of the entire week, that being Friday night's matchup against the Nashville Predators, or more specifically, Rob Ray's induction into the Buffalo Sabres Hall of Fame. The Sabres would win this one 4-3 off the back of a 2-goal night from Yuri Kulik, who just continues to be sensational. I mean, 2 goals in that one, and while Peterka and Thompson had the story of the night against Boston, Kulik was still out there making plays and centering those two. He's just been unbelievable. And that first goal he had that night, ridiculous. Absolutely nuts, coming down the wing and giving UC Saros no time at all to react to that one.
Yeah, that puck was behind him before he even knew it was off his stick. But that fourth goal, I was in the building. Great energy, great crowd pop. It was 2 minutes left. It was a good time.
You didn't leave early?
Never gonna hear the end of these.
What do you mean you're never gonna stop leaving games early?
Yeah.
No,
This is on you.
no.
Guys, leave me alone, okay?
I'll stand my ground.
I thought the best part of the night, and I know we tweeted it, was that the RJ night and the Rob Ray night both finished 4-3 against Nashville. Considering how long they worked together and how good of friends and, everything that's transpired in the past year or so with RJ, I don't think you could have wrote a better night to happen for Rob Ray. So it was really nice to see.
Could have gone without another 2-0 lead blown in the first period.
That's the Buffalo Sabres.
Make it interesting.
It wouldn't be
man.
a Rob Ray game without, almost blowing a lead and doing all this crap, and he was probably pissed off. So
I was wondering who was going to be the guy to do the loyal to the crest fight. There was no fights.
I was surprised nobody stepped up. Just for the
No
hell
one
of it.
stepped up, man.
And
We'll
would
touch
not
more
be-
about that
would-
later.
would
man.
not be the-
No one stepped up, huh?
Not would be
No
the
one?
last. Would not be the last time we have that conversation. Anyways, great night for the Sabres organization. They get the win for Rob Ray, and as JP said, some nice parallels to RJ Knight back in 2022. Just a feel good night for a not so feel good season. So good work by the team and by the organization. It was another nice ceremony put on. Although the one thing I did wonder, because I remember RJ Knight, that ceremony was close to game time. Sabres players were watching that in their uniforms, and I kind of felt bad for Rob Ray. He had to do that speech as people were still piling in, but that's just a minor nitpick.
It was a little interesting. My dad texted me and he was like, "Man, it doesn't seem like it's very packed." I'm like, "No, I saw a ton of people in the concourse. It's gonna be packed, but yeah, it was more than half full. It was a good crowd for the ceremony, but once the game got going, there wasn't an empty seat, which was cool."
Yeah, I didn't see Terry Pagula there either. He must have been caught in traffic as well.
When Rob gave props to Terry Pagula in his speech, I was like, "Oh, here come the boos," and then I didn't hear any. I was like, "Oh, okay, all right, maybe we're gonna have a civil night."
Do you think it's a good thing that they don't introduce the owner at ceremonies anymore? Think that's a good indicator?
Yes, I actually do, because you don't want.
Oh, I'm not saying.
I was afraid he was going to be introduced, and then they were just going to boo him, which understandably so. But on Rob Ray's big night, they'd be booing the owner and chanting crap. So I think it was best for this ceremony.
I'm not saying whether it's the right decision. I'm just saying, is it a good indicator that that's a thing now.
Oh, that's a fair point. He knows. He's not oblivious. Well, I'm sure he is
he
oblivious.
he
but
might be oblivious.
maybe Kevin was like, "You should stay up there tonight."
But it was nice to see Kim Pegula there as well. I thought that was cool that they introduced her in the arena later that game.
Mm-hmm. And the best part of the night was Doug Allen was back. I'll
Felt
tell
so
you what,
good, man.
I
It felt so good.
rewatched the national anthem on my phone after the game. I was like, it's
Same.
nice to see him back.
It just felt right.
Him pointing to the camera was like, that was the only thing I was looking forward to, and it was awesome.
Dude, I wish those anthems never ended. I wish he sang them twice.
There's not many things that can kind of bring me back to my childhood. Even like old players coming back, it doesn't really feel the same. But like Doug Allen coming back, doing the whole spiel all over again, pointing to the camera, just it felt like my childhood.
All we needed was the camera to pan to the starting five, and you just see Bogosian and Risto out there as your starting defenseman. I would have been all the way back.
And then we get to Sunday afternoon's matchup against the New Jersey Devils, which starts as perfect as can be. The Sabres take a 3-0 lead on the New Jersey Devils, honestly exercising some demons because Jake Allen has owned them for what has felt like the past 5 years. But Tage Thompson gets things going early. JJ Peterka adds another one on later, and then as the period winds down, Ryan McLeod pots one shorthanded, and the Sabres are off. In the second period, the Devils got on the board with a goal that it may or may not have crossed the goal line. I think my only issue with that call was that the call on the ice was no goal, and they found an angle that made it seem conclusive. I don't really know if I agree with that, but whatever. The Devils got on the board, and then as the period was winding down, Tage Thompson, who has been feeling it all week, he was second star of the week in the NHL. Another great feed. Jason Zucker taps it in. The Sabres go up 4-1, heading into the third period. What could go wrong? Well, for starters, Nico Dawes starts the third for the Devils. So with the goalie change, you knew that it was going to be interesting. And less than 20 seconds in, Paul Cotter, who had 2 goals in this game, snipes one from below the goal line, absolutely picks the corner, Anuka-Pekka Luukkonen, and immediately you're like, all right, so it's going to be one of those afternoons. And this is probably where we should talk about the Thompson thing, because chronologically this is when it happened. So let's get into this discussion. So with less than 10 minutes remaining in the third, Tage Thompson, taking a regular shift, pokes the puck towards the blue line in the New Jersey zone, and there's a quick foot race. Him and Stefan Noesen are racing for the puck. Stefan Noesen's got the edge, wins the race, pokes the puck to the Devils defender. But after poking the puck past, he braces his shoulder and continues forward with contact, hits Tage Thompson in the head. Thompson's helmet goes flying off. He's face down on the ice, and seconds later, the play would get blown dead. No penalty on the initial call, but Noesen was ejected from the game after review, and the Sabres would get a 5-minute power play out of that. However, if you've been anywhere on Sabres online discourse, you know that that's just not where this conversation starts and where it ends. Tage Thompson is face down on the ice, and Stefan Noesen is not touched by any Sabres player that is also out there. Yuri Kulik, Jason Zucker, Owen Power, and Matthias Samuelsson. Nobody grabs anybody, and people have thoughts. I'm not going to lead this conversation. I'm going to sit back, and I'm just going to toss it off. Somebody else can take the lead here, and I'll wrap it up towards the end and just give my input.
I mean, I got so mad about this that I started tweeting, and I don't really tweet that much, but just the lack of, like, they're having conversations instead of like someone hitting someone. Like, your star player's down, and Samuelson, 71 on the Devils, I forget what his name is. He gives him like a little like slash on the foot, and Samuelson still just stands there and like looks like he says thank you. And it's like you would get more of a response like in a men's league game. Like I'm playing with Christian on the Eagle Lions and he gets scummed. I'm going at the guy, dude. Like I don't know what we're doing here, dude. Like it's crazy to me.
I mean, in no way am I defending the response because leaving that game that day, I think it's the first time I've ever been really upset leaving a game after a win in a long time.
Can I ask you something real quick because you were there, right?
hmm
Did you know what happened right away? Like immediately. Did you know that Nason had done that to Thompson?
So I didn't know it was Nason. So what happened was the puck obviously went towards the red line. So my eyes following the puck. And then maybe I blinked and I looked over and then I saw Thompson face down on the ice. Like, what happened? So I didn't see it in the moment. Like this is a fast moving game. But my issue is you got to grab somebody. I know the ref was chasing Nason around, immediately grabbed him. Like I don't think they had much of an opportunity to go over to him because the officials were kind of all over him pretty quickly to begin with. But somebody's got to grab somebody there. And in no way am I defending, like, obviously, it's not the group you want out there to be, going out to try and scum a guy or just try and knock someone over, other than Samuelson, I guess. Like, if you had your fourth line out there with Gilbert on the back end, somebody's dying. Somebody's going through the boards. I honestly think that you have your skill guys out there. Couple of them, one of them's a rookie. JJ Peterka, love him, but he's not the strongest guy on the team. Like Tage Thompson's the only star player on this team that really, has fought this year. And yeah, the lack of response kills me, and it definitely takes away from the win. I think a lot of people took Jason Zucker's comments in post game wildly out of context because I was listening to the post game on the way home, and they were talking about saying that, oh, he said we won, but no one responded to the Thompson hit. No, that was in response to him getting cross-checked. He said that no one going after Thompson he didn't use this word, but I'm paraphrasing. It's inexcusable, can't happen. Obviously, Matthias Samuelsson takes full responsibility for it, but you're not going to see the Devils again this year. It's just another talking point that teams and your fan base and everyone's going to use against you. You've been trying to shift away from this narrative of being a franchise that's been kicked around all the time, and that seemingly isn't going to help after the transgressions of last game. And at the end of the day, I think it's a shame because Tage Thompson, you've seen throughout the entire year, he's stood up for all of his guys. He's put the puck in the net. He's been a leader on and off the ice. You want someone to, have his back there. And the fact that nobody did is disappointing. And I guess I'll toss it over to JP if he's got anything else to say.
I think right when it happens, someone has to respond. So I am upset about that. But after the play's done, after he's ejected from the game, nothing really bothered me after that. At the end of the day, it was a 4-3 game. Even Lindy said it after. He was like,
"Players 4-2. It was 4-2
or 4-2 at the time."
Yeah, they scored shorthanded on
which
like,
I think
power play.
plays into this.
Like,
Which
yeah,
it plays into
flat.
it.
Everyone's sitting there, no one does anything, and then they come out flat on the power play and get scored on. And I was so fired up.
The building was pissed after that.
Go ahead,
happened.
JP. I'm sorry.
I was just saying, Lindy was saying like guys on the bench wanted to respond, but it was a close game, so he didn't want us to get an instigator penalty. Didn't want to get us a penalty, which I understand. But right away when it happens, I mean, I don't know if anybody like actually saw what had happened right away. But like the guys, I guess who it bothers me that Samuelson and Zucker didn't. Kulik, I mean, he's a rookie. I'm not gonna ask too much out of him. Owen Power, I'm sure like
There's
I'm
a
sure so
divide
many
here,
people
As
are
soon as,
going-
dude, as soon as I saw him on the ice, I'm
Yeah.
like, oh no, here we go.
low hanging fruit.
Yeah.
You don't
like-
want. That's not the guy you want doing
That's
that.
my point, dude. Like, they're
Yeah.
okay, because this, I think, I'll hop in now, because like this is like where, because it was funny. You saw on Twitter later that night. You just saw across the league that night, like 2 huge hits happened that night that resulted in fights. I forget who it was. Somebody nailed Pietrangelo in the Rangers game, and there was immediately a fight at center ice. And then in the, I think it was Kraken Seattle, huge open ice collision, fight immediately after, and people are bringing those up, like, see, like, that's how you do it. It didn't take long, and it's like I get that, and it's like a part of me is like, yes, like someone needs to grab someone. Not doing anything is not good enough, but at the same time, like, this isn't a cut and dry normal star player on the ice gets taken out. Like, the crowd didn't react. Nobody knew he was. I mean, Christian is in the building. I know where his seats are. He can see the entire ice. Nobody saw this happen in the moment. That, like, clear as day, crowd reaction, bodies are piling up. Samuelsson said it in his post game. Like, there seemed to be a lot of confusion on the ice. Hell, Stefan Noesen didn't even get suspended for the play.
That's such BS. That's the biggest problem I have with this whole thing. It's clearly a suspendable act, and to not even have a hearing is just a slap in the face.
So, and then you've got 4 guys on the ice, and you got Yuri Kulik. You don't want him. He's not answering the bell. We can all agree on that.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Jason Zucker, who I thought when I watched the replay, I was like, oh, I don't think he saw it. And then he said in postgame he didn't see it. So, like, he doesn't know exactly what to do. He just sees Thompson down on the ice. And then you got Power and Samuelsson, who, like, they probably saw enough to do something. But then it's like, it's like, you don't want Owen Power fighting people. Like, the people that hate him are going to clown on him because, oh, he's soft. Oh, he's, whatever expletive, derogatory, soft term you want to call him. It's just inevitable. People are going to rag on him for that. Whatever. I don't, like, he's not the guy you want answering that call.
No.
The one guy who should probably in all of this be doing something is the guy wearing an A, the guy there to be the physical presence, and the guy who's probably the biggest guy on the ice, and it's Mattias Samuelsson. Even then, like, shit, man, like, that's not his game. It's never been his game. Has he been in an
No.
NHL fight?
I don't think so. I can't remember one. And also, I mean, he's the only one who took full responsibility at the end of the game.
Yeah,
I mean, he was most to blame.
He
But yeah,
should. It's like, I feel like there's an acknowledgement that something should have been done, but also an acknowledgement that, like, this wasn't cut and dry. Like, it wasn't your typical open ice hits. I think
Right.
a lot of it is like, hey, like, Tage Thompson, we found out after the game was fine for the most part. Like, if Tage Thompson gets up right away, nobody's doing anything. And, like, that shouldn't really matter because that's the whole thing. He's face down on the ice. His helmet came clean off. Like, that's bad. That's what makes this so much worse, and that's what should make you go and grab a guy.
there's a differentiator I also want to make between the people making the comparisons between this and the Miller Lucic hit.
Oh, like,
Just
like,
what you said, what you just explained, how I was in the building and I barely saw it, how it was such a quick, tic-tac type of play where half the guys on the ice didn't see it. This is not a situation where a guy's going in on a breakaway. Everybody's looking at him and the goalie comes out of
he
the net and
bowls
gets
over
run.
a goaltender. Like,
Yeah, just bowls over a goaltender. That's different. That's worse.
that's
That's way
even,
worse with
like,
the no response.
Like, I fully, like, I hate when people say that, like, that was the downfall of the franchise, whatnot. But, like, everybody agrees. Like, bullshit response. Like, Lucic should get a Morgan Riley, Ridley Gregg stick to the neck after that. Like, that's just plain. He's trying to injure your starting goalie. This is not that. Okay, this is not that. It's just I'm torn. I think my biggest problem is that this is something that I just don't think the team really cares about as much as we do. But it's going to be a thing that persists. And, even moving into post game, you had the Zucker comments. You had Samuelson's comments. You had Darlene saying stuff like that. It just can't happen again. And then you get the Lindy Ruff presser, which was probably by far the most animated we've seen him since he's been named head coach again. Off the bat saying guys wanted to go out there and respond. When Lance Lysowski was going to ask him what he thought about other people saying that they backed out of a response, like Lindy cuts him off and says it's bullshit. He says that's bullshit. Um, it's interesting because the guys on the locker room, the coach on the bench, don't really seem to share the type of anger that I think a lot of fans are showing. And yeah, it kind of muddies the water a lot more. Like this isn't a universal sort of situation. And like I'm still sort of torn.
I think the correct answer does lie in the middle somewhere, but it's you needed a response. Someone needed to do something, whether it's just rough a guy up or even just grab a guy and go dancing. Not doing anything and skating around and just being like kind of throwing your hands up and being like, well, what happened? And you shouldn't matter what happened. Your guy's down. Just go over, grab someone. Who cares who did it? Just show that it's not gonna fly. Just show some sort of emotion to it. And I get it. You're in the middle of a game. You just got scored on 15 seconds into the period, and obviously, what Jesse alluded to, they came out pretty flat, and they got scored on off the power play they were trying to run. You got to do something, but I'm not saying it's more egregious than the comparisons people are making to the Miller Lucic thing, or even how they were saying like everyone on the ice should have been all over it. Like you didn't see it, but again, you got to do something.
Kind of how I'll leave it is I feel like there's some common sense that even if you don't see it, you turn around, your star player's on the ice holding his head, and the refs are ushering someone away. And it's like, you don't got to like drop the gloves and drop kick the guy. Like get in his face and like let him know that you just can't just get away with that. And like everyone's just standing around all casual, like nothing happened. And like that can't be the response. Like even if you don't know who did it, like just get in someone's face. Like just let them know that you can't do that to this team. Like one of the best players, and then score shorthanded like nothing happened.
Yeah, it's frustrating that it happened in the last 8 minutes of the game. Like if that happens in the first 5 minutes of the game, do you think that goes unanswered? Like, do you think that that's what this group is like? Because that's what this conversation like. Do you think this group is fully soft and just no matter what will not answer the bell for when their star player gets hit? Or do you think if this hit happened in the first 5 minutes, something would have been done about it, even if Nason was still ejected? Because I'll also bring up, honestly, the thing I'm more upset about is like JJ Peterka got concussed in game 1 of this season by Brendan Dillon. That was not answered for. And
Dylan Dubé.
What's that?
Was it Dylan Dubé or Brendan Dillon?
No, it was Brendan Dillon. But Dillon, Dubé's not exactly in the league anymore.
Isn't he one of those guys we don't talk about anymore?
He was, yeah, he was on that
Oh
Canadian
shit!
team.
Fuck.
Nice one.
Like,
Oh, cut that out. Cut that out.
That's staying in, brother.
God fucking damn it.
just talk about Carter Hart too while we're at it.
Ah, yeah.
Is it Batherson?
Yeah, it's. I just don't. I refuse to believe that the team would sink so low as like to let that go unanswered for the next 60 minutes. I think it's merely a consequence of just when it happened, what happened afterwards, and they just never had it. Because also Nason did get ejected, so it's like you never got the chance to get him back. So I don't know. All the points have been made on this. It feels like there's no there's not going to be a consensus answer on this. And honestly, I just think it's best to move on and just honestly, it's the best thing to do now is just wait for the next one of these to happen and then see how they respond.
Well, you know what they were probably thinking about more is how many freaking games have they blown in the third period? How many games have they blown this year where they pull the goalie switches, and then they end up losing? How many times have they had multiple goals happen in a matter of minutes or right after a penalty, shorthanded? Like, I'm not defending anything that happened right away, but after it, they're like, okay, there's 8 minutes left. Like, we gotta win this game. Like, we can't blow another game. They still probably think they're in it. They're in a 3-game winning streak. At the end of the day, they won, and they didn't let up a shot for 8 minutes during that time span. So they hunkered down. They were probably more focused on that, and they won the game for Tage Thompson. You could at least think of it that way.
All right. Hopefully that's the end of that discussion. I have a feeling it's not going to be, but we'll continue on anyways. So obviously the Sabres would close that one out 4-3, and believe it or not, they're on a little win streak here. That's 3 straight wins.
They have 5 points back in the next team.
Are we doing the concernometer?
We are not. I think we're retiring.
We're retiring.
I think
we're
done. I think we've milked any content out of it that we could.
Yeah,
I
you
had a
know
good
what?
one for this week.
I'll say to our BST brethren, Ryan and Max, we brought in the concernometer this year, and look how our season's gone to shit. So that's on you guys, okay? That's on you guys. We're never bringing it back. We're done.
It's enough.
I did
A
have
lot of
another
positivity from JP today.
I did have another jinx this game, as our good friend Max pointed out. So halfway through, I tweet out, Tage Thompson is playing out of his mind hockey. And then he proceeds to get a head injury.
I almost lost his mind.
You also texted during the game, "Oh no, goalie pull, here we go." And obviously I'm at the game, so I'm ahead. I'm
20
ahead of the
seconds
feed.
later.
So I get the text. I look at my phone, and it's as the puck is going in the net, and I'm like, "Oh, this is gonna be so funny," because he was like, "Oh no, the goalie change is gonna happen," and then like 20 seconds later, after the TV feed catches up, he's like, "See, I can't believe this happened."
Yeah, I got to scroll back and find that text. That was funny. I was all over Justin Key this game, too. I just knew it was going to be a shit reffing performance when I saw he was there. And like that Jack Hughes, the Malenstein trip on Hughes with time winding. Like, come on, man.
Awful.
Absolutely ridiculous. But, yeah. Yeah, I have a knack for doing that, as we've seen a lot of times.
You got to start
Yeah.
saying like more
I
bad
go,
stuff.
I go, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, new goalie in net at 2:59. Also at 2:59, all caps, right on cue.
You got to start saying like more bad stuff, bro. You can reverse jinx it somehow.
I try, because I can't fake it. That's the thing. I've tried. I've tried the fake stuff. It doesn't work.
He tried the fake stuff all weekend with Elias Pettersson.
Speaking of which, Elias Pettersson. So, anybody that tuned in last episode knows that we spent basically the majority of it talking about Elias Pettersson and how there was a really good chance. Well, I guess looking back on it now, maybe not as good as we might have thought, but there was a decent chance that a Pettersson trade was going to go down. Things were boiling over with Vancouver, and one shoe had to drop. And one did. It was not Elias Pettersson. We found out Friday night, shortly before puck drop against the Predators, that JT Miller was, in fact, being dealt, and he was going back to the New York Rangers. And right off the bat, I knew that this probably was going to be a setback in how long we had to wait for Pettersson to kind of get close to the finish line. And given what happened later that night, it only kind of confirmed those thoughts. So we could start with the trade return for JT Miller. First of all, no salary being retained, which is pretty insane for Vancouver to pull off. But Miller would go to New York alongside Eric Brandstrom and Jackson Dorrington, a prospect from Vancouver, in return for a protected first round pick, Philip Hedl, and Victor Mancini. Initial thoughts on that trade for Vancouver?
My initial thoughts are incredible asset management by the New York Rangers and Chris Drury. Um, they're like one of the quote unquote best lines in the league analytically. They traded two of their players. They traded JT Miller away a few years ago. Now he's back. That was my initial thoughts, but then depression hit.
Yeah, what a move by Chris Drury to trade away JT Miller, who was entering the prime of his, well, he didn't trade him away. The Rangers did, to trade JT Miller away, going into the prime of his career, and then trade back for him after he's past his prime.
You think that
What
was
what
always in the script that they were going to get him back?
It had to have been. But I mean, initial thoughts, I don't know, I think the vibe it still has thrown off the vibes a ton in Vancouver. Doesn't seem like the locker room was too happy about it. I mean, I don't really know how to tell who won this trade yet.
Yeah, it's tough.
There's so
Apparently,
much baggage with
like
this.
people are like apparently like this Mancini prospect. Like a lot of people are pumping his tires, but I don't know. That remains to be like the Rangers obviously win right now. I just don't know what it means for the future. But you can't really talk about this trade without talking the trade that happened afterwards, because as soon as this trade went down, I just kind of had a gut feeling that, okay, Miller's gone. They're probably going to give Elias Pettersson, some sort of runway here to prove that, it was, JT Miller's the problem. And before you go to bed that night, your suspicions are confirmed because Marcus Pettersson from the Pittsburgh Penguins is dealt to the Vancouver Canucks in quite a big deal. It's not just a simple like player for pick type trade. There were, I think, 8 pieces combined in this deal. I'm trying to pull them up now. Pettersson and Drew O'Connor going to Vancouver for a conditional 2025 first, the first they just got from the New York Rangers. Danton Heinen, Vinny Desharnais, and Melvin Fernstrom. So, yeah, my suspicions were confirmed because now Vancouver is giving the team help. And they're not just leaving Elias and what's left hung out to dry. They're giving them a chance to sort of prove that they can still win.
I feel like the timeline's crazy. It wasn't even a year ago that their entire arena was chanting JT Miller's name, and they love him. And now they got rid of him for a pretty
half of
tough
them
return.
Still do. If you go on Twitter, like half of them still friggin' do. They are not happy about this sequence.
You think guys making millions of dollars could just, put their differences aside and figure it out?
It's really weird that it's this. Like
there's got to be something
you kind of respect how much they hate each other. Like they're not even like, yeah, at times they've been like, oh, we don't hate each other. Oh, we'll talk about it right now. No, they hate
That's
each
media
other.
training.
That's
media training.
It's kind of insane. I don't think I've seen anything like that, and it's kind of refreshing for the NHL. You don't see this much. You have gotten your money's worth with this season. There has been so much freaking drama around the league this year, and plus coupling that with big trades, it's been entertaining.
It's been entertaining, all right. Not for our on ice product, but it's been something.
Just also a quick side note: JT Miller wearing number 8 looks terrible, in my opinion.
I thought
Unrelated,
it was so funny he picked Trouba's number. Just something symbolic about that.
Now they just got to give him the C, and people can just get the nameplate changed.
I wouldn't put it past them. I would not put it past them.
Oh yeah, 100%. They definitely would. They definitely be the organization. Just throw him the C. He's like, oh, you've been here before. You could do this. He also, I guess, I mean, he's well liked. He is a leader.
Not well liked by
A
everybody.
little bit of a temper.
I don't know how many times I texted in multiple chats after both those trades happened that we are screwed. Like I was at a low spot. I was like, oh my God, like this is not good. Like I want to say like I was in Colorado this weekend. Okay. I brought my mic through through TSA. I was ready at any moment for Elias Pettersson to be traded for the Sabres. I told Jonah, I was like, whenever it happens, as long as I'm not on a plane, I will I'll get my mic ready and I will record. And I was so ready for it to happen. And then everything happened and I was just, I was mile high and I was depressed. Like it was, oh,
Bro's
I
gonna
was,
set up the camera in the mountains. He's gonna be on the
yeah.
slopes,
Yeah,
falling in.
I was getting ready. I was like, you know what? This is gonna be like a weeksy thing. I'm just gonna appear in like the middle of nowhere and be like, oh, an Elias Pettersson trade. It happened, but nope.
Suddenly the drop off from the chairlift doesn't seem so scary.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Now go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's tough right now because half of I feel like this discourse in Sabres Twitter is yelling at the front office, and then the other half is like he hasn't even been traded. So like how can you be upset with them? Like I personally think Vancouver made the right decision to try and make it work with Pettersson. And like I know a lot of people are saying, well then Kevin should have just upped the offer. He should have just upped the offer. Like
It's
you're
not
not
that
just gonna
simple.
it's exactly you're not just gonna throw a stupid trade at the window and then you literally get worse just because you're throwing in more players
Yeah,
just to
people
make
want
it
to
happen.
Yeah, people
You don't
want
wanna
to trade him.
We
force
could have
the
threw
trade
in
to
Alex
happen.
Tuck or something, man.
Oh
You
my
shut your
God.
mouth. God
My
damn it,
God,
dude.
what's with the Alex Tuck slander? He's not been bad, man. The amount of shorthanded goals he's.
We're not
I
we're not
think I've
getting into
seen
the,
him.
we're not getting we'll save it for the player grades,
Fine.
which are coming at some point.
He's a woo merchant.
Oh my God.
Oh, merchant.
So
Useless.
this is sort of the thing. Like I want to be angry, like I do. I said it last episode. I said like if he went somewhere else, I would be furious. I would be, you cannot let that happen in season. If it happens in the off season, contenders are throwing whatever at Vancouver. I'll still be mad, but it's not like you had your window where like you were the one or two team in this race and he went somewhere else. Vancouver kept him. They kept him. It's not about their offer. Or I mean it is. Everybody has a price, but it would have come down to some ridiculous overpayment that like people, as much as I love Elias Pettersson and I believe he can bounce back, there is a certain point where like your team, even if Pettersson returns to a 100-point form, you don't know if you're going to get better, and they're probably looking at you, and instead of looking at the left-handed defenseman 1 year from free agency, they're probably saying like, hey, give me Owen Power with Dylan Cousins and with this and that. It's like, it's not going to happen, right now. And Adams held firm clearly. They had the Cousins Byram offer on the table. Vancouver just didn't want to do it. And they did the smart thing. They traded the guy who was an asshole and who was also older and gave Pettersson, not only did they give Pettersson the headspace to like clear his thoughts and perform without that, just without Miller looming over his shoulder, they gave him help. They did the sensible thing. But there is, so where do we go from here though? So this is a done deal. Miller's the one out. They're giving Pettersson runway. Is the dream dead? That's the question. I don't think so. Not yet. But I do think the Marcus Pettersson thing scares me a bit. Because he's Bowen Byram, but better. Like, he's a better player than Bowen Byram. And most importantly, he's their second left-handed defenseman. They don't really have a need for that anymore. So Byram sort of becomes obsolete and makes any trade revisits a new challenge because it's probably a new package. But, you cross that bridge when you get there. The more wider scope sort of look at this is I don't think it's dead just yet. Pettersson has gotten basically everything I don't want to say everything he's asked for, because I don't think at any point in this process did he go to management and say, trade JT Miller. But he probably got what he wanted. This is probably the scenario. He probably wanted Miller out of the locker room. So now the keys are his. And, you can look at this two ways. He's either going to return to form, kick ass, Canucks are going to be proven right, and this is never going to be talked about again. And that could happen. Or B, he's getting everything he wants, has the environment to succeed in. And if he doesn't rise up to meet expectations, you've got a management group he's been at odds with for a while and is kind of sick of his shit. And you got a fan base who half of which hates his guts and is calling him the soft, overpaid forward that, his stats over the last year and a half sort of indicate. So, there's a really real possibility that in season, he could still get moved at the deadline. It would have to go bad. It would have to go he would have to not be able to produce. Vancouver would have to continue to lose, be out of a playoff spot. They're out of a playoff spot right now. And it would just all kind of have to culminate into one bad storm where he finally gets dealt at the deadline. And that's just the deadline. I think no matter what, unless they make the playoffs and he has a strong playoff run, I don't know if he survives in Vancouver with that no-move clause looming on July 1st. Because you got a player at odds with his organization that would have all the power come July 1st.
Yep.
And I think he really has to perform if he wants them to kind of sign off on that willingly for the next, 7 years on his deal. So I don't think it's dead yet. From this point on, I become the number one Canucks hater. Sorry, there are expansion brethren. A lot of our history is tied together. Guys, I'm sorry.
The hate watch is on.
The hate watch is on. The hate
Jonah
watch
was
is on.
cheering on the Red Wings last night.
I felt, oh my God. Dude, I almost leaped out of
Cheering
my
for
chair
Alex
when
DeBrincat.
DeBrincat scored the game winner. I leapt out of my chair.
And Pettersson, he missed the net just before that?
Dude, it worked out so perfect because Pettersson actually had a few good moments in that game, but he didn't score. And then in overtime, there's a 2-on-1 break. It's him and Besser. Besser dishes it across. He has a chance to win the game, skies it over the net, and Detroit would come down 2 minutes later and score the overtime winner. And
Jonah jumps out of his chair. He's like, yes, let's go.
Yes.
And then he realized both the Senators and the Red Wings are in a playoff spot.
I had to take a shower after. I felt so dirty.
It's just us and the Canadians now, buddy.
Oh, I'm at least
The
happy
basement
that
bottom feeders.
I'm happy that fall offs. I could not take the Canadian. Okay, you know what? The Senators, we talked about this. They were due for their Sabres and Red Wings close playoff miss year.
Yep.
The Red Wings, I think, still, I don't really believe it, but whatever. Couldn't take the Canadians. Absolutely not. Nope. They cannot be good. Sorry. Won't allow it. Not going to happen. Go away. But yeah, the Canucks, the hate watch is on.
Yeah, I agree with Jonah, and it's they're 2 points out of a playoff spot right now. They're really only competing with the Flames. Colorado is 7 points in front of them, and St. Louis is 5 points behind them. So we're pretty much, it's just Calgary versus Vancouver for this wild card.
Who did add
spot right now
in the last week as well.
Yeah. So Dream's not dead. Dream's not dead. Maybe this is complete copium, but like I said last week, if we don't make a move like this, then where are we going? Because if we don't make this sort of move, we might be coming back with the same forward group next year.
But here's the other thing about the future. It's what do you do now? You can't just sit around and wait for this because it might never pop up again. So,
but who's out there?
I don't know. That's
the only other guy we ever talked about was Marcus Pettersson.
And he got traded.
Yeah, I know.
That's for the general manager to find out.
It's always the people you least expect. Like someone
Like
under
Luka Doncic.
somewhere. Oh my God, we don't need to get into that. But somewhere under hush, there's always GMs out there looking to do
I mean,
deals.
I read the Athletic came out with an article. Michael Russo, the Minnesota Wild beat writer, said Minnesota's been scouting the Sabres recently. I don't know. Could be looking for a Tuck reunion. Marco Rossi's weirdly always been available. I don't know. Do they want Cousins as like a quote unquote upgrade? I would
So
do
who,
that.
Marco Rossi for Cousins?
I don't even know. Like I don't know which player has more because like Rossi's better right now. But at the same time, it's like does Cousins have that pedigree?
We need to go back to the cap floor and find out what we're
We could
made
always
of.
package in our alternate captain defenseman who stands there and lets star players get taken out
No
as a
one's
little
trading for that
bonus.
Yeah, he's
contract.
got no value.
As a thank you for taking our trade. We can throw him in.
He's actually doing us a favor right now, just having the cap hit high enough so we don't have to have more discussions about the unused cap we have.
This is what I love about like people saying the Sabres you can't take on bad contracts or sign to bad deals. Like why? Why? The cap it's not a factor. It's not how is it bad cap space?
take on as many bad contracts as you want.
What does it matter? Like give Jason Zucker $8 million. Doesn't matter. They're still gonna be $10 million clear of the ceiling.
Right, yeah, with the cap going up too.
I don't know.
And we can LTIR somebody too.
Mm. Can you believe we're having these discussions?
Samuelson would be our LTIR merchant if we were good.
He
Yeah,
would.
he's like I don't know. Some teams, for one team it's Nikita Kucherov. For the other it's Mark Stone. We get Matthias Samuelson as our LTIR merchant. I don't know if it's the same.
3 great players.
Oh man. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where you kind of go from here. It's tough because, like, as for me, it's like he's always sitting at the back of my head, but at the same time, like, Dylan Cousins has a ton of interest. Bowen Byram has had interest. I don't know. You kind of have to look at your other options. You almost kind of have to say to Vancouver, like, hey, like we got to do this now, or there's no guarantees you're ever going to get this value back. And I don't know.
I really think Cousins should be the first one that you're just trying to. He is the key trade piece right now. I think a Cousins Byram package would be fantastic anywhere. Just it sucks we've been stuck on this Pettersson thing for so long because it's like it's the middle of the season. You don't really know who's available yet or who's, rumored to be like movable.
Well, you never know. I mean, honestly, like Mikko Rantanen and Marty Necas going the same deal. You don't know who the hell's available.
I mean, with what the Mavs got for Luka, you could probably like package Cousins and Byram for Draisaitl at this point.
Doesn't it feel like Cousins already has a foot out the door, though? Like, I feel like Bowen Byram being in trade discussions shouldn't be too much of a surprise. He's about to be, he doesn't have a contract next year. He's a left-handed defenseman who wants to be a number one somewhere. Like, I don't think that should be a surprise. But considering Cousins is, 1 or 2 years into his deal, and it's well known around the league that he is available, like, I feel like he's going to get traded no matter what, almost.
He's the third line center on the team right now, basically.
Yeah. I mean, you could make arguments that
I mean, he's not, but he's the third best.
Yeah.
So
Try him
Oh,
at wing.
man.
I don't know. What do you want? What do you want at this point? I mean, even watching him in the New Jersey game, there's just this one moment that just sticks in my mind. He got a pass into the high slot, and the puck just he went to accept the pass, and it almost like he had no confidence. It just exploded off of his stick, and it just got away from him. Guy's confidence is shot. He hasn't been scoring. He's just a shell of himself. He has been for the last year. It sucks, but what are you going to do? You got to try and, for his sake too, I think he should deserve a fresh start somewhere else.
And we'll have plenty of that and more to talk about. The Four Nations deadline is coming up pretty soon. The Sabres only have,
Two more games?
Yeah, the 2 more games. They play tomorrow night and then Saturday? And then then they're done?
Yep.
And then the
Hey,
Four Nations kicks off.
We're already on a 3-game win streak. Take a look at our schedule. It's time to go streaking. I mean,
It is actually
What
like
if they hammer out like an 8-game win streak and just take themselves out of the lottery?
it's like well,
A part of
Who
me doesn't
cares?
complain, but
I don't care.
the other part of me is like fuck you, man. Like we went all through that for some February win streak to kind of sideline that. I
Will
can't
we
even
be-
get, I can't even get excited about like the good draft prospects now.
listen to our schedule, okay? This is like the next 10 games. Blue Jackets,
They're good, kind of.
they're all right. Predators, not good. Rangers are
Terrible.
good. Ducks, not that good. Canes are good. Canadians falling off. Canadians, Sharks, like
Oh no.
Dude,
That's-
we could
that's
rattle
like-
off like 7
no.
wins.
you could
here.
easily win 7 of 8 right there. Like, or how many is that? Yeah, I think that's 8 games.
You know what? You guys can have fun. You can root for them to win these games. I'm just gonna watch. I'm gonna cover the games. I'm gonna watch them. Not gonna try. Like I kind of got invested into the New Jersey game, and I kind of had to like catch myself. Like you know what? If they lose, they lose. Like who cares? That does not affect this season.
Yeah.
You guys can have build up your hope.
I can't wait to miss by 1 point again
That'd be
because
evil,
of
dude.
13-game losing streak this
That'd be
time.
evil. God, dude, that streak feels like a million years ago already.
it
Which
really
one?
does.
13-game losing streak.
Oh, the
Which one?
13-game losing
He said
streak.
the-
I thought
he
you were
says
talking
the-
about
he
like the
says which
10-game
one.
winning streak. I thought you were talking about the 10-game winning streak.
No, the
Olafson's power play goal streak.
it's
Electric.
13 games they lost earlier this year. That's crazy.
Pretty sweet.
Pretty sick.
And
Go
I
back
mean,
and
James
watch some of
Higgins
those
could be
episodes.
generational.
not a fan. More of a Misa guy.
I'm here for it.
All right, we'll touch on some other quick Sabres news. First, we can start with our favorite right-handed Finnish defenseman. Henriokki Harju is headed after, like, basically 2 of their guys were crippled. Finally, he got an invite to the tournament after Miro Heiskanen was shoulder tackled by Mark Stone, and Yanni Hakanpää could not dress for it, which a lot of people expected. I'll tell you, I'm just gonna say right now, it was Yoki Haru and it was Urko. I always mess it up. Akavainen. I don't know. The Finnish defenseman playing for the Ducks. I don't think Yoki would have gotten the nod first if it was just Miro or if it was just Hakanpää. I think he would have been the last guy. I don't think they wanted to take him.
Hey, the world ain't ready for Henry Yukiharu. Time to boost your trade stock. All right, let's go nuts here. Okay, let's go crazy, go on like a big point streak, be like one of the best players there, and then we could trade him at the deadline. I think it fits perfectly.
He could scream Ukko-Pekka Lukin in the locker room when he's reading the roster.
That's why they grabbed him.
Yeah, vibes guy.
Lineup card.
And then today we got news. JP's prayers have been answered. Isaac Rosean has been called up to the main roster, and to make room for that, Tyson Kozak, who was supposedly sick the past few days, is now on IR. So
Yeah, I noticed him laboring off the ice. I can't remember what game it was. I thought he took like a puck to the hand or something. Or I don't know. I saw him leave the ice. He looked injured and you just didn't see him again.
I do got an issue with this though.
oh boy,
I mean, the dude makes the All-Star game because he's one of the best players in the AHL this year so far. And then he gets called up the day of the All-Star game. Why don't you let him enjoy his could be his only time in his professional
you don't
career.
think what? You
where
don't
he's
think they? You don't think they talked to him? You don't think they were like get like? Do you care
Yeah,
to?
of course he's gonna say, "Oh yeah, I'd rather be with
They
the Sabres."
play tomorrow. They're probably like they've just got to get to Buffalo. I mean, where's the All Star game being held?
I don't know, but I'm just like genuinely, that might be the only time he's ever an All-Star in his career. And they call him up, and they're probably gonna play him on like the 4th line. He's gonna do jack shit when he's called up right away. Like, let him play in the All-Star game, have some fun, and then call him up. Like that's genuinely what I believed.
This is
what was gonna happen.
this is loser behavior.
It's in Coachella Valley.
Let the guy go play in the All Star, the AHL.
Yeah.
Shut up! What?
Let him go enjoy himself. Let him.
He's on the
What do you
other
think?
side of the country in Coachella
Jameson,
Valley.
he's gonna get paid to play in that NHL. Which game is he getting paid for?
True.
Let him play in the All-Star game. Levi's there. He's there. They're hanging out with their good old boy Matty Savoy. Like, that's my only issue. But I am very happy they called him up, and I hope they don't just, crush him on the fourth line and he takes Kozak or Sam Lafferty's spot.
What are you changing around then?
I don't know, move Quinn down the lineup, move Krebs down the
No.
lineup. There's
Yeah,
plenty
I
of
would- I
guys that
would
you can
scratch
move down
Quinn.
for him.
Well,
I'd
Krebs
scratch
has already
Quinn.
been moved down. It's basically just Quinn if you move him,
There's
Nah, keep
plenty of
Krebs
guys.
where
which
he is.
I would do, but I don't think they're gonna do.
It's like, give him a chance. This season's basically toast, unless they go on this big win streak.
I was gonna
we
say,
think
like,
it's gonna happen.
Stop. Enough.
You're trying to build some confidence here.
We're 5 points out of last place still. This is not close. We can't keep doing this to ourselves.
So give Roseanne a chance. Boost his trade stock. Give him a chance. Play him with Cooley. Who the hell cares?
He could have boosted his trade stock in this All-Star game and had like 8 goals.
That's
We'll
also
never
a
know.
good point. He could have had a big All-Star
This is
game.
the
All the,
dumbest.
all the eyes, all the
not
eyes are on
counting
the
that.
AHL game this
This
year.
is the
'cause
dumb-
NHL isn't
Not
doing it.
factoring that in. That's a
This
good
is
point.
the dumbest rant you've had on here ever.
Big marketing opportunity.
Seriously, though, it's like if you gave me the opportunity to either play an NHL game where you get big boy money versus the AHL All-Star game, obviously I'm playing in the best league in the world. I don't care what's going on. I don't care if I don't know, playing in the curling national championships. I don't care. I'm going to that game.
That's quite the
I don't know.
comparable. I get your point now.
You see it? Yeah, it's big.
I'm on
It's big.
Christian's side now.
He earned that spot, and they took it away from him.
Even
Oh
when
my
he's
God.
Even when he gets what he wants, he's miserable.
When I get what I want, I barely get what I want with this damn team.
You think
Okay.
Levi's upset that his friend's not at the All-Star game with him anymore?
He's probably lonely. We didn't think about that either.
Oh my God.
Like they were roommates at like the hotel or something?
Brett
No.
Murray's there.
No, he's
Brett Murray
Brett,
somehow got an invitation. He's there too.
Oh, jeez.
Plenty of company.
should have called him up too. Ruined his.
They
week.
probably were like trying. Well, wait, which one are you talking about calling up?
Either of 'em.
I was going to say definitely not. I hope not Murray, but Levi. They're probably. Kevin's hands were shaking. He was like, "Oh my god!" Say, I could do it. I could do it. I have the power to do it.
Murray would have responded to the Tage hit. So I don't know. Maybe we should have called him up.
He might have turned down the call-up invitation to play in the All-Star game, and then they called Rosen instead.
Well, there's a lot of factors going into this. Okay, it's not an easy decision.
I can't believe this is even a thing. This should have been like a 2-minute conversation. Okay, moving on. That is all the Sabres talk for today. Let's jump into some NHL news. So another trade. This one between the Philadelphia Flyers and the Calgary Flames. Joel Farabee and Morgan Frost headed to Calgary for Andrei Kuzmenko, Jacob Peltier, a 2025 second, and a 2028 seventh. Why is the 2028 seventh in this? Who asked for that? Who asked for the 2028 seventh? Like, this deal would have fallen apart if that wasn't included in there.
Basically, future considerations.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I always hate that. Like,
I just needed that little
Craig-
speck of trade value on the video game to make
Like,
it go
Craig-
through.
Yeah, like what model are you using?
Craig Conroy's like, Danny. Look, I'll do this deal. You got to throw the seventh, or other way around. Like, Danny's like, Craig, like, got to give me a 2028 seventh here.
Art of the deal.
Otherwise, this is done. It's over.
Yeah, that it doesn't make any sense. Like even I think about NBA trades sometimes. Like again, bringing up Luka Doncic, like a first. It is a first round pick, but 2029. It's like it's so far away. Like some of these teams trade so many picks. It's a seventh in 3 years is basically. I'd rather have future considerations. If you can give me like a beer or like a 12 pack or something.
It's probably
Hey,
what
Vic-
it is.
Victor Olofsson was a 7th round pick, so You never know who it could turn into.
And he took after you draft him, it takes another 4 years for him to get into the league.
I'm interested to see if Farabee can he was kind of in Tortorella's doghouse the past few seasons, so him and Frost too, honestly. Just see if they can thrive a little bit in Calgary. And hey, anything to help the Vancouver hate watch. Go Flames.
It's on.
Go Flames. This season is, it is cool. I'm really hoping that Columbus really pulls this off. And honestly, Calgary doing it as well. That would just be so awesome. Just the story of Johnny Gaudreau and those two franchises kind of rising up in 2 years where they just were not expected to be good, especially Columbus. Another deal that was made, Mikael Granlund and Cody Ceci going to the Dallas Stars for a 2025 first-round pick and a fourth-round pick that becomes a third-round pick if the Stars go to the Stanley Cup final. So the Sharks doing a little bit of business, getting a first-round pick for their leading scorer, and also probably that fourth-round pick is probably attributed to Cody Ceci himself.
Let the Stars cook on this one.
Yeah,
they're right
the
side of the defense. Like
I was just about to say,
Putrid.
it's awful. Like because I didn't even see this initially, but when I was kind of reviewing this deal, like Niels Lundqvist is out for the season. He's got a shoulder injury, so their right side is some combination of like Matt Dumba, Ilya Lyubushkin, and Cody Ceci are on
Let
a
them
team's
cook.
roster all at the same time.
A cup contenders roster. That's crazy.
I don't think Jim Neal's going to win GM of the Year for the third straight year. I think it's going to go to someone else this time around.
Could we
Jesse,
interest them in Yoki Haru to really complete
That's a good point.
Round it
they
out.
might, they
Great
might
point.
be. They're
the Four
kinda-
Nations trade value bump?
They love their Finnish
Yeah.
defensemen.
They're assembling an infinity gauntlet of awful right-handed defensemen.
Think we can get like Wyatt Johnston out of it?
They're being like this shit's too easy. Like we got to up the difficulty here.
Say the Sharks are going hard on this tank too. They sent down Ascroft with the corresponding move too.
I feel like this is like the type of trade you just wait till the deadline to do. Like there's still such a bad roster and like taking off first of all your leading scorer, like that's not going to help the team. And then like Cody Ceci, not a good defenseman. We just ragged on him. It's still an NHL body. Like it's still someone in your lineup to kind of eat minutes instead of some like scrub who's hardly in the league or maybe an up and coming prospect. I don't know. In terms of trade value in a vacuum, this is great work by Mike Greer, especially given where Mikael Granlund was a few years ago. I mean, he was a throw-in in the Erik Karlsson trade, just in there for salary, and they were able to turn him into this. So it's a nice bit of business, but yeah, it's kind of makes you worry even more about where San Jose's, what direction they're headed. Some free agent news: Brandon Saad, who mutually terminated his contract with the St. Louis Blues in the last week. He signs a 1-year contract with the Vegas Golden Knights.
Vegas always assembling the team full of names, man. Like I feel like over the years, any Vegas Golden Knight player you see, it's just like a marquee name almost. Like they had they traded for Pacioretty, they traded for Pietrangelo. Like obviously Brendan Saad is past his prime, but it's a hockey name. Are they America's team?
It is a guy. It is a guy. It's certainly a name. And a little bit of breaking news here on the pod, which you don't get to do very often. Ryan Hartman gets 10 games for his, I'm just going to call it a pile driver on Timothy Stützle the other night. Driving his head into the ice forcefully, very obvious, very dumb. He gets 10 games in the press box, which is kind of spread out given where the Four Nations timeline is sort of headed here.
Did you see on Instagram he voted on his own suspension if he should get suspended or not?
What, did somebody like put a poll?
Someone put a poll up and it
and
said Ryan Hartman voted.
What did it say? It probably didn't say what he voted, did it?
No, it didn't. But obviously, you probably know what he picked.
Deserved.
Funny. Yeah,
Deserved.
Let me see if I can find that.
that's pretty bad. That's as bad.
It's good to see the league defending their star players now amidst all the controversy there. They're putting
honestly,
their foot down now.
did anybody stand up for Stützle there? I actually don't know. Don't know.
I don't know. I'm sure Brady
have to watch
Kachuk
a
is
Senators
something
game.
dumb though.
I'm watching the video right now. I'll tell you.
Brady Kachuk definitely did something dumb.
Wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it.
Bunch of Samuelsons.
Well, Brady Kachuk was out there.
Awkward
No,
silence.
no one
did anything.
anything.
Nobody did anything. Nobody moved a muscle.
No, I didn't see anything.
Soft.
Not in
the
the
video
replays
must
I'm
have cut
looking
out
at.
or something.
Time to trade
It
him.
showed me
No
like
way.
the first like 10 seconds after the face-off. It was like one of the slow motion replay ones, but Brady Kachuk didn't look like he immediately attacked someone. He was out there.
Who knew?
Well, he's
Who knew?
soft too.
Yeah. He's a coward.
He should. Well, you know what? He shouldn't fight because anytime he fights, his team loses. He's like 0-10 in games he's fought.
And finally, the Utah Hockey Club released some of their well, we got insight into some of their fan surveys about their team name selection process. And initially, 3 names were released. It was the Utah Mammoth, the Utah Outlaws, and then also keeping. Actually, no. Excuse me. It was the Utah Mammoth, keeping the Utah Hockey Club, and then the Utah Wasatch was an option. And then after 24 hours, after some feedback, the Wasatch was replaced with the Utah Outlaws as one of the 3 options for the team name. So what do we think about these names? What do we think about the choices?
I'm more interested in like looking at the logos and the color scheme. Like they seem like they're like Eschel logos, and like the colors also remind me of like stock EA
Well, we're
hockey.
not
they
going to take
keep-
your opinion on jersey colors, okay?
All right, shut up.
I think
Will
the
you just
EA
shut
Sports
up, man?
NHL like tweeted like these look familiar. I think
Yeah.
they look so generic.
I thought the Yeti one was cool, even if it was like an Easter logo, but they can't use Yeti. That would have to be if they kept the hockey club. So there's a little bit of give and go there. But I don't know. Proud member of the Mammoth fan club since day one. I'm sticking by it. It's the best one to
agree.
go with.
Yeah, out of all of them, I'd probably go Mammoth.
I kind of like the Outlaws.
Oh my God! It's always that one guy. No, I think the name's kind of basic, or actually, I mean the logo. It feels like you kind of see the same stuff, but I do like the name. Outlaws is not a bad name.
They got more creative with like the logo or the jerseys maybe, but
They better get more creative with the jerseys because the pictures of that survey had black-based jerseys. So
you think someone just like grinded on NHL 25 to like make some mock-ups and they just took screenshots and that's what they posted?
seems that way. I don't know. Should be interesting. I just hope they don't go with hockey club. That just feels like I don't hate hockey club, but it feels like a more historic name. Like it should be reserved for like an original 16. Like if the Chicago Blackhawks, if they finally did change the name, or I guess change the logo, but if they changed the logo, they said they don't even want to do the name anyways. If they just changed to like the Chicago Hockey Club, I think it kind of worked. It's like a historic, old-timey franchise. It doesn't feel
The Washington football team.
It's I don't know. It just doesn't feel reserved
Football
for
team
like,
sounds better than hockey club.
no,
I think that sounds
no,
awful.
it does not. Football
I think
team.
hockey club sounds bad.
What?
No,
Yeah.
I'm
I
with
don't think
that's-
Joan.
you're
I'm with
on
Joan
one
on
today.
this one.
I don't think hockey club is a good team name.
Would you prefer
I don't
hockey
think
team?
I'm not
Football
saying
team
it's
is.
good, but you're saying football team is better, and that's dumb.
I don't know. Both options are bad. I don't even know how you could say.
I didn't
yeah,
say
I'd
I didn't
consider
say it was good. I just said it would work better if it was for like an old-timey franchise.
I don't
Just
think
saying.
it would work anyway.
I'm
Just
not saying it would. I'm not
both
rooting
are
for it to
bad.
happen. Oh well. We shall see what the fans in Utah choose. All right. I think that's basically all I have for this one, unless there was something we forgot to touch on or somebody wanted to touch on before we logged off here.
Nope.
No?
I got one thing.
It's always this guy with the one more thing.
This is more this is Buffalo sports in general. This isn't just the Sabres. How many times is a Buffalo team going to cause a rule change? We got no goal with the Sabres. Of course, that changed the rules because of a big decision. The OT rules for the Bills, and now first downs are going to be electronic. Like, how many times does Buffalo sports have to get screwed in order for rules to get changed? It's ridiculous.
The OT rule wasn't really for the Bills.
It was directly after our game, one of the best games of all
Bills,
time.
The Bills didn't advocate for that, right? Wasn't it
No.
the Chiefs? It was dating back to the Patriots AFC Championship.
Yeah, but it was voted on after our game.
We were the catalyst for that one.
We
It
were
wasn't
basically
us
the
that were
reason it
catalyst.
happened.
Should have called tails. Should have called. You'd be in the Super Bowl if you called tails.
Tails never fails.
Actually,
I honestly
don't
feel
even-
like we
I don't
would've
even know
lost
who
the
called.
Bengals.
I don't even know who won. I don't even know who called the toss.
No idea. I'm just saying
But-
we always get screwed. The Hudson
Buffalo
fashion
just-
thing, that should have been a rule change.
if Buffalo just keeps losing in horrific ways, then sports leagues will eventually become perfect.
A utopia.
That's a good point. I didn't look at it that way. We are
You
doing
got to put a
everyone else a
positive
favor.
spin on it.
We're doing everyone else a favor, I guess.
Positivity, JP.
I left it all in Colorado once Elias Pettersson wasn't a Sabre.
Yeah, that was. I went to bed early that night. I didn't even want to be on Twitter. Just had to have a mental reset. That hurt. That hurt. Had a lot of belief. All right. So I think that's gonna do it for this one. Thank you very much for listening, gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining. Having all four on today it was fun. It was a fun time.
First time we've done this, a 4-person roundtable. This is probably the most people we've had on this pod since the in-person one a few years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, the Jeopardy we had.
Yeah, that's
people
count.
on.
Eh,
We don't count that.
Yeah.
So, looking ahead here, Sabres versus Blue Jackets tomorrow. Then the Sabres are off till Saturday when they play the Nashville Predators, and then they're off for 14 full days, full 2 weeks. So it's
Bliss.
it'll be nice. Be a nice reset. Hopefully they come out of the gates firing, but yeah.
Yeah, Kevin's got a lot of time to think over that time span.
Yes, he does. We'll get to watch Rasmus Dahlin, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, now Henri Jokiharju playing the Four Nations. No Tage Thompson still. Dude, when I saw Chris Kreider had 8 points in his last 22 games, that's just,
Dog
come
water.
on, man. It's like he's rubbing it in. It's like he's intentionally playing awful just to rub in the fact he got on that roster.
He's saving it for the tournament. He's gonna pop off.
And it's like as good
Prove
as
all the
Tage,
doubters wrong.
as good as Tage Thompson's been, dude, Jason Robertson has been a monster the last 27 games. I don't know if, oh man, I'm going to start this conversation again. I don't know if I'm going to root for the U.S. I don't know if I'm going to do it. I don't know if I can feel good doing it. I might root for
All
the
right,
Swedes.
Team Sweden, I guess.
Might have to.
I'll root for Yoki. Gotta boost that
I
trade value.
hate that you do this.
All right, we got a Finn.
I hate that you do.
Everyone's got to pick a team.
We got a Swede fan. Who's picking Canada?
Not me.
1, 2, 3.
It sounds like it's Jesse.
I'm
He's the
rooting
only-
for
he's the
America.
only one left.
I don't know.
I mean, Jesse picked America before me, so I guess I have to go Canada here.
Damn. Traitor.
I can't imagine watching the World.
I was
Juniors
the last
and
person
just,
left.
Oh, Sabres prospect is on Czechia. I'm gonna root for them when they're playing America. What?
Yeah.
This ain't the Olympics.
Come on.
This is
All bets
true.
are off.
It's
All bets
Get
are off
real.
in the Olympics.
Get real.
it's just 4 nations facing off.
That it is.
Stop it.
You make a good point. No, I'm Canada again.
All right, I'll take the U.S.
All right, folks. Thank you very much for listening. If you want to follow us on Twitter, you can follow us at the Sabre Report. Also on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at the Sabre Report. If you watch this on YouTube, thank you very much for listening. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. If you want updates for the pod, you can follow us at Sabre Report Pod. As always, go give our friends over at the Buffalo Sports Talk podcast a listen. The Bills are out. Super Bowl is it this Sunday? It's this Sunday, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Doesn't even feel like
Don't even care.
there's no like
Not watching,
ramp up.
that's for sure.
Like there's no
Uh-uh.
hype. There's absolutely no hype for this one.
No
Nobody
one wants to see
watch
this
That's a good
shit
point.
again.
That's a good point.
This might be the first year where I'm just here for the halftime show guy.
Not even
Attention
that for
fan
me.
strikes again.
I guess I don't know. I'm surrounded by haters. So go give our friends over at the Buffalo Sports Talk podcast a listen. They'll be ramping up their off-season stuff pretty soon. It's great stuff as we get closer to the draft. After the conclusion of the Super Bowl, they'll have a lot of great stuff. Who the Bills should be targeting, who they should be signing in the offseason, and who they should be trading for. I mean, Myles Garrett requested for a trade today. Cooper Kupp, Max Crosby's name has been out there. So they'll have all that stuff to talk about and more. Go give them a listen. With that, I don't have anything else to add. I guess we'll see you guys next time, whether that's later this week or probably most likely Sunday. And as always, go Sabres.
Go Sabres.
Go Sabres.
Go Sabres.